Hello friends, this is Dr. Rajiv Dhawan, your ENT faculty, and I am here to discuss 18 questions asked in FMG exam, foreign medical graduate exam in the June 2021 session, and certain clinical questions out of these 18 questions are important for the NEET PG and the INICT also. So let's discuss one by one every question quickly and let me know you the right answer and the logic behind it. The first question is, which of the following is an unpaired cartilage of the larynx? Unpaired cartilage of the larynx. Of course, thyroid cartilage is unpaired cartilage, and the other ones, arytenoid, cuneiform, and corniculate, are the paired cartilages. So answer of this question is B, thyroid cartilage. Second question, which of the following laryngeal cartilage does not calcify with age or ossify with age? Of course, epiglottis. Epiglottis is a fibroelastic cartilage. It is soft cartilage and it does not ossify with age. Rest of the cartilages, they start ossifying at the age of 25 years. Therefore, the laryngeal framework fractures are seen in the late adult life. So answer of this question is C, epiglottis. Now, third question, a very famous, clinical vignette. 40-year-old trumpet blower has developed a right-sided swelling in the upper part of the neck. The swelling keeps increasing in size or decreasing in size actually, but X-ray neck has been given in the picture, and this is a typical case of laryngocele. The answer of this question is C, laryngocele. Laryngocele, which is the abnormally dilated saccule, and it's a disease which is commonly seen in people who blow the wind-based instrument, like the history given in the trumpets. Why the swelling keeps fluctuating in size? Because it is air-filled swelling, so it can increase or decrease in size, and when you press it, the air leaks, and that sound which is produced, and that is called Bryce's sign actually. Okay, and this X-ray neck is done with the Valsalva actually, and Valsalva would make the swelling more appreciable on the X-ray neck, as in this case actually. So answer of this third question is C, laryngocele. Fourth question is, which of the following is the most common site of head and neck cancer in India? Of course, oral cavity cancer, because of tobacco chewing habits and this gutka, supari chewing habit, betel nut. That is why oral cavity is the most common site of oral cavity, the head and neck cancer in India. But if they ask you further question, what is the most common site of oral cavity cancer in India? Out of oral cavity, particular site in India, the answer is buccal mucosa, and out of buccal mucosa also, particularly gingivo-buccal sulcus. So if you ask me which is the commonest site of head and neck cancer in India, is the gingivo-buccal sulcus area of the buccal mucosa of the oral cavity. So answer of this question number 4 is C, oral cavity. Okay. Now question number 5, 6-year-old child presented to emergency with fever. This child is sick with fever and there is bull neck. There is a bilateral cervical lymphadenopathy, and this classical word called bull neck is typically used in diphtheria. So the answer to this question is diphtheria. Diphtheria gives fever, toxemic baby, and sick child, and then on top of that, bilateral cervical lymphadenopathy, and that is called bull neck actually. Okay. Now, so answer to this question is B, diphtheria. Question number 6. Identify the structure shown in the image pointed with the yellow arrow, and this is an X-ray PNS Waters view, and the sinus which is being pointed out over there is maxillary sinus. So if you look at the X-ray carefully, the arrow is pointing towards the sinus, and in the cheek there is a sinus, maxillary sinus. So answer of question number 6 is C, maxillary sinus. Now, another question of parallel sinuses they asked, identify the name of this X-ray shown in the image. So again, bache, this is Waters view. Waters view is occipitomental view. It is generally done with open mouth. However, the given picture is closed mouth, but this is typically occipitomental view, which is the exact picture of the Waters view only. However, the Caldwell's view would be occipitofrontal view, which will be showing the frontal sinus and the ethmoid more clearly. The other two views, like Schuller's view and Townie's view, are the X-ray mastoid view actually. They are for the COSM cases which we use actually. So answer to this question is B, Waters view. I do understand it is done with open mouth. So Waters view generally is done with open mouth, but classically we write X-ray PNS Waters view with open mouth. But it can be done without open mouth also, because mouth is open to include the sphenoid sinus in the X-ray. But this is a classical picture of the X-ray PNS Waters view. Believe me, Caldwell's view would be occipitofrontal view, in which you see the frontal sinuses and ethmoid more clearly actually. Okay. So 7th question number answer is B, Waters view. Question number 8, which of the following is the most common cause of neonatal and pediatric inspiratory stridor? Neonatal and pediatric inspiratory stridor, the most common cause is laryngomalacia. Answer is A, laryngomalacia. Laryngomalacia is the most common congenital anomaly of larynx, which is weakness of supraglottis, and that weakness leads to inspiratory stridor. And the answer of this question is A, laryngomalacia. Now, question number 9. Which of the following laryngeal muscle is the abductor muscle of the vocal cord? You know, there is only one abductor muscle of vocal cord. The name of that muscle is posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. We have been discussing all these questions so commonly in the class, we're revising them in a lot of sessions too. So this is the only muscle which is abductor of the vocal cord is posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. So answer to this question is C, posterior cricoarytenoid. Okay. Now, question number 10. What is the exact anatomical location of Killian dehiscens? Killian dehiscens is between the thyropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus muscle fibers of the inferior constrictor. So the answer of this question is B. Exact answer is B. It is between thyropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus muscle fibers, which are two parts of the inferior constrictor only. Inferior constrictor has got two parts, the oblique part called thyropharyngeus, circular part called cricopharyngeus, and between these two parts there is a triangular area which is weak area which has no muscular support, and that area is called the Killian's dehiscens. And if you know clinically, Killian dehiscens is site of formation of Zenker's diverticulum, also called as pharyngeal pouch. Killian dehiscens is also the most common site of the perforation during rigid endoscopy of the pharynx. So the answer of this question number 10 is B, beta, B, not C. It is not inferior constrictor muscle, particularly inferior constrictor muscle. Out of that, there are two fibers of inferior constrictor, thyropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus, and between these two fibers lies the Killian dehiscens. So question number 10 answer is B, thyropharyngeus and cricopharyngeus muscle. Now, question number 11. 4-year-old child has respiratory distress, fever, inspiratory stridor. X-ray neck shows thumb sign on the neck X-ray actually. What could be the causative organism? The answer of this question is Streptococcus pneumoniae. I know there's a lot of controversy around this question. Some people say H influenza B, but if you see all the recent literature of last 5 years, it is very clearly mentioned in a lot of books and journals and good publications that due to immunization against HIV, the HIV has come down as the causative organism of the acute epiglottitis. So nowadays, the most common causative organism of acute epiglottitis is Streptococcus pneumoniae. So answer to this question number 11 is B. Okay, B. Question number 12. 7-year-old child complaining of hearing loss and sense of fullness in the ear. Okay, hearing loss, fullness in the ear. These are two symptoms of the glue ear. Glue ear also called as serous otitis media. And in glue ear, we see the tympanometry curve as type B curve or flat curve. So this is a typical case of B, secretory otitis media. Secretory otitis media most commonly seen in school age children. Look at the patient age, 7-year-old child. The secretory otitis media, also called as glue ear, has got two prominent symptoms. Number 1, conductive hearing loss. Number 2, fullness in the ear. Okay, and on tympanometry, it gives type B curve or flat curve. So this question answer is B, secretory otitis media. My dear friends, tympanometry is sometimes also written as impedance audiometry. So it's one and the same thing. Okay, and glue ear is also called as serous otitis media. So answer of question number 12 is B, secretory otitis media. Now, question number 13. 40-year-old diabetic woman tested COVID-19 positive. She started to have nasal congestion, black crust in the nose, blackish discoloration of the nasal bridge skin and the cheek area actually. What can be more clue possible, beta? Diabetic patient is something black in or around the nose is what? Mucormycosis, beta. And it's very commonly being seen in COVID-19 patient, particularly diabetic patient on steroids. And we're getting mucormycosis, and mucormycosis causes ischemic necrosis because it's angio-invasive fungus, and that's why there's a blackish color of the skin of the nose or the cheek area. Okay, very, very important question for the INI-CT and the NEET PG also. And the treatment of choice of mucormycosis is number 1, surgical debridement. Number 2, drug of choice is amphotericin B. Okay, fine. So this was question number 13, very commonly discussed in our classes also. Beta. Okay, question number 14. The main blood supply artery of the tonsil is of course tonsillar branch of facial artery. It's written in your notes also, beta. Okay, tonsillar branch of facial artery is the main blood supply of the tonsil. So answer to this question is C. Okay, C, tonsillar branch of facial artery. Question number 15. A patient of presbycusis. What is presbycusis? Is age-related hearing loss. Beta. It is found to have high frequency sensory neural hearing loss on audiometry. Which part of the inner ear is affected, beta? That is, try to recall the inner ear class, beta. Inner ear class, we said that, cochlea has got a 2.5 turn. The basal turn senses high frequencies. The apex of cochlea senses low frequencies. This patient is having high frequency hearing loss. So which part of inner is affected? The answer is B, basal turn of cochlea. Basal turn of cochlea senses high frequencies, and in this patient of age-related loss, there's particularly high frequency hearing loss. So which part of inner is affected? Answer is B, basal turn of cochlea. Okay, everything is in your notes, beta. Don't be. I'm sure you would have enjoyed the exam because it's written somewhere or other like that. Okay, fine. Question 16. Now, pediatric question also. Bilateral complete choanal atresia. What is choana? Choana is the posterior opening of the nasal cavity. Sometimes the choana is blocked since birth. It's called congenital choanal atresia. In this case, it's bilateral complete congenital choanal atresia. The nose is blocked from behind. And this child will have neonatal respiratory difficulties. Immediately after birth, the baby cannot breathe. What is the cause of this respiratory difficulty? You know why? This baby or any baby, always remember, newborns or neonates are obligatory nasal breathers. Why this chap is having respiratory difficulty? Because this child does not know that he can breathe through mouth also, beta. So the answer of this question is C. Newborns are obligatory nasal breathers, beta. Am I clear, beta? Newborns are obligatory nasal breathers. A neonate is suffering from bilateral complete choanal atresia. Still, patient is actually not able to breathe because patient can breathe through mouth, but child does not know that child can breathe through the mouth. So the answer is C. Newborns are obligatory nasal breathers. They cannot really, start breathing through the mouth actually right after birth, because mouth breathing is acquired learning. You know what? It is not related to lung volume or any vocal cord problem or any surfactant issue, nothing like that, beta. It's basically the child does not know how to breathe through the mouth. Child, neonate or newborn is obligatory nasal breather. So answer of question number 16 is C, beta. C, newborns are obligatory nasal breathers. Question number 17. 6-year-old diabetic patient has presented with severe earache, blood-stained nasal ear discharge, and the examination shows granulations in the external canal. What is the possible diagnosis? Answer is A, malignant otitis externa. I hope you remember the classes we discussed in the classes also. We said ENT has got 2 diabetes question. Both of them came this time. Young diabetic nose question, something black in the nose, mucormycosis. Old diabetic ear question, okay, answer is malignant otitis externa. Okay, both the question came in this exam. Young diabetic mucormycosis, black, swelling around the black color of the nose. Old diabetic ear question, pain in the ear with blood-stained ear discharge with granulations. Old diabetic ear question, you will get the malignant otitis externa, and this is most commonly caused by Pseudomonas, remember. Okay, and the last question. 17-year-old female patient underwent tonsillectomy. After tonsillectomy, the patient is having earache. And what nerve is responsible for this earache? The answer is glossopharyngeal nerve. Question number 18, the answer is glossopharyngeal nerve. I hope remember. Which nerve lies in the bed of the tonsil? The answer is glossopharyngeal nerve. Which nerve supplies the sensory supply to the middle ear? The answer is tympanic branch of the same glossopharyngeal nerve. Middle ear is also supplied by tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. And which nerve lies in the bed of tonsil is glossopharyngeal nerve, because the shared nerve supply between the tonsillar area and the middle ear, there is referred otalgia or referred earache after tonsillectomy. So answer of question number 18 is A, glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, so these were the questions which actually were asked in this time FMG exam. Some of them are one-liners, some of them are clinical, vignette-based, clinical vignette story-based question. And please do remember that these kind of question can be asked in the NEET PG and the INICT also. Thank you very much, bache. Okay, I wish you good luck. I wish you good luck for your result also, and I wish you good luck for your further endeavors as well. Thank you very much.